4 days after drawing the biggest audience to watch a WWE TV broadcast in over 4 months, including a massive peak of over 7.5 million viewers for the big segment of the night, the company would hope that some of the boosted interest will carry over to tonight to pick up the Raw brand after the 4-year low of last Monday, opening with Bischoff's follow-up promo after the all-time great swerve of him revealing himself behind a mask as the ceremony priest to introduce Rico as the new member of Raw, while taking shots at the SmackDown product to call it boring predictable television before introducing viewers to Raw as the top brand in the business, opening the broadcast in a strong increase of over 400,000 viewers on last Monday with a 3.3 rating and 4.4 million viewers. After the early introduction, Triple H kicked off Raw in its second show from the Pepsi Center in Denver after debuting in the market last April, building up to his first pay-per-view title defense against Van Dam on Sunday, saying that despite his popularity, Van Dam is not World Championship material, bringing him out for the promo confrontation with Van Dam in response, mocking Hunter's entrance routine, with both booked by Bischoff to defend the IC and World titles against mystery opponents 6 days from Unforgiven in the 2 top matches of the night, with the segment which since the start of Raw featuring Eric's introduction followed by the Hunter Van Dam segment over 2 quarters going 19 minutes uninterrupted, seeing the show picking up in the second quarter, which also featured a Flair vs Rico match, to a 3.6 rating and over 4.7 million viewers in what ended up the biggest viewership spike of the night already by 9:30 p.m., featuring a major upset of Rico in his Raw debut going over Flair and the start of an angle building up to Flair's turn. As Raw is facing its new reality against heavier sports competition on Monday nights, with the show trending down to 4-year low levels in the past 2 weeks with no major rebound expected until January 2003, one of the big talking points of the night on the TNN broadcast, with the potential to indirectly impact Raw, was the heavily hyped debut of one of the most watched shows on television, and CSI debuting on the network right after Raw at 11 p.m. with TNN buying the rights to the reruns of the series, which on its original run averaged over 20 million viewers for the first 2 seasons at $1.6 million per episode in April earlier in the year, targeting the show to draw a strong audience for the late-night spot on the back of the massive Raw audience, including a TNN representative when hyping the series in April right before Raw started its recent decline in numbers, saying that they will throw a 5 rating into it every week at 11 p.m. to target a strong weekly 3-hour block from 9 to 12 a.m., and with the Raw numbers since then declining by almost 1.5 rating points, both the WWE and TNN would hope to benefit from each other, with the company coming after a major drop in a start of a worrying pattern for the Raw main events in the past 2 weeks. Would hope to potentially get an artificial bump from CSI viewers tuning in at 11 p.m. to, in an ideal scenario, boost both programs back to back, with Raw next seeing the start of a major angle playing off a real-life situation with Hunter confronting Flair backstage after losing the Rico match earlier, turning the legit situation of Flair, who was dealing with personal and confidence issues since the end of his WCW run, being told by Hunter to retire if he's going to continue to embarrass himself like he did tonight, with him ruining his legacy, saying that Flair was once the man, with him idolizing him growing up in an attempt to lit a fire under Flair again, both legitimately and on screen, with Raw closing the first hour with a strong viewership increase of over 400,000 viewers on the 4-year low total of last Monday, seeing the final quarter featuring Christian and Storm defending the tag belts against Bubba and Spike in a match going 9 minutes, not only peaking the hour but the entire broadcast with a 3.7 rating and over 4.9 million viewers, while in the process continuing the unwanted pattern of the show for the second time in 3 weeks, seeing the first hour with close to a 4.7 million viewers average outdrawing the second in total viewers. The first of the two hype title matches opened the second hour with Van Dam against Chris Jericho going 9 minutes for the IC title, and after the past 2 weeks of all regular viewing patterns thrown out the window with the main event overruns barely making a difference along with the first hour outdrawing the second, the usual second highest profile time slot of the broadcast at the top of the hour quarter, which on the night in a different formatting saw almost the entire first half of it taking place in commercial breaks with Jericho's entrance in the middle, was the last established pattern to fall, with the Jericho vs. Van Dam match not only not seeing the usual viewership bump for the crossover segment but dropping 400,000 viewers from the peak audience watching the tag match to 4.5 million viewers, ending up in a title change of Jericho winning the IC title with the walls with Van Dam after Hunter's interference tapping for the finish 6 days from challenging for the world title at the Unforgiven pay-per-view, getting the title off Van Dam to shift it to the Jericho vs. Flair match on Sunday. Raw's second hour slide continued with the broadcast losing 700,000 viewers since the end of the first hour in back-to-back quarters by 10:30 p.m., with the show's recent struggles bringing up more questions about the major free agents in the business coming in more urgently than expected, with JR, who answered questions about his status on almost a monthly basis for over a year, updating again on Scott Steiner's potential signing with the company, saying that no new negotiations took place with Steiner for several months, saying that Steiner, who is still dealing with leg and back injuries bothering him from the final year of his WCW run, might be able to physically work a part-time schedule with him despite not being contacted recently, can still potentially show up on WWE television any week for either Raw or SmackDown if Vince McMahon and creative come up with a major concept or idea for his debut. Bischoff was back in the ring to hear the protesters while indirectly mocking the critics of the HLA rating stunt last Monday in a segment opening the final quarter, setting up the reverse swerve from the ceremony on Thursday, with Stephanie showing up in disguise to bring out Billy and Chuck to lay out Derek, adding a crossover Raw vs. SmackDown tag match for Unforgiven, with Eric putting a stipulation of Stephanie joining HLA if Rosie and Jamal beat Billy and Chuck to bump the quarterback to a 3.4 rating. And with the show running out of time, Triple H made his entrance for the main event title match 4 minutes from the top of the hour with TNN after heavily hyping the debut of CSI for 11 p.m. to bring up questions on if Raw would still go into its weekly overrun, showing a banner on screen that CSI is coming up next through Raw's entire 8-minute overrun title match, seeing Van Dam attacking Hunter back to send the show to the final commercial break at 10:58 p.m. to result in Raw not only not ending at 11 but only coming back for the full title match at 11:01, revealing Jeff Hardy as Hunter's opponent to see them going 6 minutes, with Hunter eventually making a comeback to retain. And after the past 2 weeks of the two lowest main event audiences on Raw in 4 years, the Hunter vs. Hardy match with the possibility of it getting an added viewership boost from potential CSI viewers tuning in after the massive promotion from the network for the show starting at 11 p.m., saw Raw picking up less than 200,000 viewers to a 3.5 rating with 4.5 million viewers, making it only the fourth most watched segment of the night to now officially signal on a major problem for Raw's usually most promoted segment of the show, which up until 3 weeks ago when the new pattern started was an almost guaranteed major viewership pickup spot for the past 4 years, ending the show with Van Dam coming back to lay out Hunter again for the final angle to the Unforgiven title match on Sunday, with Raw overall drawing its second straight 3.4 rating with slightly more viewers than the previous week.